All right, so we're going to be looking at adding and subtracting decimals. What we have to remember here is the integer rules. So we have, if you are adding integers with the same sign, we find the sum. So a negative plus a negative or a positive plus a positive. But if we are adding with different signs, we find the difference. So a positive and a negative or a negative and a positive. Okay? So steps to adding decimals, the most important thing is that we write the numbers one under the other with the decimal points lined up vertically. Remember, order is important, and this is so important with integers because normally in a regular problem you would just go left to right and the left one would be on top. But because we are making decisions based on this, whether we have to add or subtract, it's going to flip around sometimes. So, first one, we've got negative 15.4 plus negative 7.2345. So what I look at is we have a negative and we have a negative. They are the same, so we find the sum. When we find the sum, the order doesn't matter, so I'm just going to do it in the order that was given. 15.4 plus 7.2345 with those decimals lined up. Then I add in my zeros and we add. 0 plus 5 is 5, 0 plus 4 is 4, 0 plus 3 is 3, 4 plus 2 is 6. Bring down our decimal. 5 plus 7 is 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Then we go back, we were adding negatives, so we have a negative sum. So negative 22.6345. All right, number 2. We've got a negative 88 and a positive 20. Those are opposites, so we find the difference. When we decide which one goes first, it's whichever has the bigger absolute value. 88.39 versus 20.8. 88 has the bigger absolute value, so that's what we start with. 88.39 minus 20.8. So we ignore the negatives for now. We are just subtracting those absolute values. Add in zeros as needed and subtract. 9 minus 0 is 9. 3 minus 8 we can't do, so we borrow. The 8 becomes a 7. Our 3 becomes 13. 13 minus 8 is 5. Bring down our decimal. 7 minus 0 is 7. 8 minus 2 is 6. Then, what did we have? More negatives or positives? We had 88 negatives, 20 positives that were more negatives. So negative 67.59. Okay, for number 3, whenever we see that minus a negative, we turn it into a plus or a positive. So we have positive 132 and we have positive 0.486. Since they are the same, we add 132.76 plus, line up our decimals, 0.486. Add in any zeros as needed and add. 0 plus 6 is 6. 6 plus 8 is 14, carry the 1. 1 plus 7 is 8. 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 0 is 3. 3 and 1. We were adding positives, so our result is positive. Now let's look at some with subtraction. With subtraction, it can get a little bit trickier because those negative signs and the subtraction signs are all in there. We'll do a couple examples here. So, we've got negative 3.72 minus 6.8064. So first I'm looking at, we've got a negative and a negative. They are the same, so we find the sum. When you're finding the sum, the order doesn't matter, so I'm just going to line up in the order we were given. 3.72 plus, line up our decimals, 6.8064. Add in zeros where needed, and add. 0 plus 4 is 4, 0 plus 6 is 6, 2 plus 0 is 2, 7 plus 8 is 15, carry the 1, 1 plus 3 plus 6 is 10. We were adding negatives though, so our result is negative 10.5264. All right, number 5. Whenever we see that minus a negative, we change that to plus a positive. Subtracting a negative, that's opposites. They cancel out to positive. Now we have a negative and we have a positive. They are opposites, so we find the difference. That when you're subtracting, order matters. We need the bigger absolute value, 95 or 6.8064. 95 is the bigger absolute value, so that's what we're starting with. 95 minus 6 point, lining up those decimals, 8064. Add in zeros where needed, and go. All right, we can't do 0 minus 4. We cannot borrow. I got to borrow all the way over from here. Our 5 becomes 4. This becomes 10. Now it becomes 9. This becomes 10. Now it becomes 9 to borrow. This becomes 10. Now it becomes 9 to borrow. This becomes 10. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 6 is 3. 9 minus 0 is 9. 9 minus 8 is 1. Can't do 4 minus 6, so we borrow. Our 9 becomes 8. 4 becomes 14. 14 minus 6 is 8. 8 minus 0 is 8. Now we go back. Did we have more negatives or positives? We had 95 negatives, 6 positives. There's more negatives, so our result is negative. All right, number 6. We have positives and negatives. They are opposites, so we are going to find the difference. Remember, with difference, the order matters. So we find the bigger absolute value, 27 or 38. 38 has the higher absolute value, so that's what I'm starting with. 38 minus 27.68. Line up those decimals, add in zeros as needed. 0 minus 8 we can't do. We can't borrow from the 0. So the 8 becomes 7. This 0 becomes 10. Now we borrow, it becomes 9. Now this becomes 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 9 minus 6 is 3. Bring down our decimal. 7 minus 7 is 0. 3 minus 2 is 1. Then we go back. Were there more positives and or negatives? There were 27 positives, 38 negatives. There were more negatives, so our result is negative. All right, a couple more examples just with different options, just practicing, identifying all these different parts. So we have a negative 41, positive 28. Those are opposites, so we're finding the difference. Which one has the higher absolute value? The negative 41.3, so that's what we're going to start with. 41.3 minus 28.75. Line up the decimals, add in zeros. We can't do 0 minus 5, so we borrow. 3 becomes 2, 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. We can't do 2 minus 7. 1 becomes 0. The 2 becomes 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. Bring down our decimal. We can't do 0 minus 8. 4 becomes 3. The 0 becomes 10. 10 minus 8 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. Then we go back. Did we have more negatives or positives? We had 41 negatives, 28 positives, so there were more negatives, so our result is negative. Number 8, looking at this, We've got negative 163, negative 27. They are the same, so we are going to find the sum. 163.94 plus 27.83. We don't need to add any zeros, so I'm just going to add. 4 plus 3 is 7. 9 plus 8 is 17, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 7 is 11, carry the 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, plus 2 is 9, and 1. We were adding negatives though, so our result is negative. And the last one. We've got 7.54 and negative 20. They are opposites, so we're going to find the difference. The higher absolute value is 20, so that's what we're going to start with. 20 minus 7.534. Going to add in zeros and then subtract. We can't do 0 minus 4, so I need to borrow all the way over from the 2. 2 becomes 1. This becomes 10. Now we can borrow. This becomes 10. Now we can borrow. This becomes 10. Now we can borrow. 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 3 is 6. 9 minus 5 is 4. Bring down the decimal. 9 minus 7 is 2. 1 minus 0 is 1. Then we go back. There were 7 positives, 20 negatives, so there's more negatives, so it's a negative result. So it just so happens that all of these ended up being negatives. That's not how it always is going to be. That's just the problems that we were given. And that's it.